Grams, what is your full name?
My name is Darlene Faye Frederick Davi.
And when is your birthday?
February 29th, 1932.
And growing up, did you like your birthday because it falls on a particular day?
No, because actually it only comes every 4 years.
Exactly.
But since I've gotten older, it's great.
It works in your favor that way. Okay, where were you born?
I was born in Deer Park, Wisconsin. I had one brother. His name was Weston Douglas Frederick. I had one half-sister, Sharon Frederick, and then she married Mac McGregor. And then there was my stepsisters, Barbara. Well, she was married several times. Like 8 or 9.
Wow.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
And then I had my stepsister, Nancy, and she was married 2, 3 times. And then I have my half-sister, Sharon, and her last name is McGregor, and she was born in California, right around here. And that's the amount of my brothers and sisters.
So one brother
Uh-huh.
and the 2 stepsisters?
3,
3
2 stepsisters
and
and
then
one
one
half-sister.
half-sister. Okay. And what did your parents both do for a living when you were growing up?
Which parents?
Your parents.
My parents? Well, my mother was a homemaker, and my father worked construction work. He worked on things like moving hay barns and stuff like that when we were back there, and he worked on constructing bridges. And
Any famous bridges?
Huh?
Any famous bridges?
Let's see. Well, he worked on the Crockett Bridge over here, and when he was, while we were out here, he worked on dams. Up at Orville, there was a dam up there. He worked on the Crockett Bridge, or the Cartinas Bridge, one of those. And he worked on the Contra Costa Canal. He worked on construction of houses. He worked on Bank of America down in San Jose, and he worked on jobs up in Alaska and Canada and Colorado, and the Hoover Dam and that down in Arizona.
Hoover Dam, Arizona, possibly.
Southern
Arizona,
California.
Nevada.
New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
New Mexico it was. And then he worked on construction in Thailand,
Oh, wow.
and Alaska. And he
was busy.
traveled, was very busy.
How long did you live in Wisconsin before moving to California?
Me,
Or the family?
well, I was 5 and my brother was 7 when we came out, and that was 1938 or 1939.
Wow.
And just previous to us coming to California, my mother died of cancer.
And how old were you? Five?
Huh?
How old were you?
5.
5.
She was in the Mayo Clinics back in Minnesota for surgery and on and off for the years, the whole time. And then she came home to die. We lived in a little, well, it was by the railroad tracks, and it was an upstairs apartment where we lived. And in the wintertime, it would snow back there, and there were little slopes like this around there, so my brother and I would get on the little sleds and we'd go out and sled. And we would go and visit our grandparents, which was, they had a farm, and it was outside of Deer Park, Wisconsin, where we were born. And they had cows, and it was a farm.
Did you have any pets?
Huh?
Did you have any pets?
Did they have any help?
Oh, no, pets. Did you have any?
Did I have any? As far as what?
Like a dog or a cat or...
Oh, not back there, no.
No? Just
No.
cows?
Yeah. I had relatives back there. On my grandparents' farm was my Aunt Alice and her husband, Al. And there were my 2 uncles, Adolph and Chris. And then across the street was my Aunt Lena's house, and her husband, Albert, and there were 2 daughters. And then down the road a little bit, I had another family, was Albert's son and his wife, Naomi? I don't know. I can't remember. And then in St. Paul, I had an Aunt Lily and her husband, Nels, White. And I had my Aunt Elizabeth and her husband. And then I had, let's see, Lily and Elizabeth. Then in southern Minnesota, Winona, I think it was the name of the town, I had an Aunt Lena down there, and her husband John, and her son John Jr. I had a few relatives
Yeah,
back
a lot.
there. And there's some more. My cousin, my Aunt Effie, and her husband, Nels, and they had 2 sons. And when my mother was born, at that time, they spoke sort of broken English. It was more Norwegian than anything, and they put my Aunt Effie's name on my mother's birth certificate as her mother.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I have that birth certificate. After my mother died, and we got things all squared away back there in Wisconsin, my father had bought a little 1938 Ford car, which at that time was a big deal. And so we packed the back seat up with everything that we could fit in there. And then my brother, Weston, Freddie we call him, we laid on the top of the things in the back. And that's how we rode coming out to California.
You laid on top of all of your stuff in the back.
Clothes and stuff like that was all piled up level with the top of the front seats.
Nice.
Well, we didn't have a trailer or anything like that, so we got on our way, and there was a lady that came with us that had been our housekeeper back in Wisconsin. And her name was Vernie, and she was Menominee Indian. And so, because she didn't have any ties back there, she came with us to come to California. So when we came to California, we went to Turlock, California, and then we went to Delhi. And out on a little 2-lane road, we went to my aunt and uncle's, Aunt Lee and Uncle Rex. And they had 3 children, and they lived in a Airstream trailer. And they had bought a little farm down in Delhi, and it backed right up to the river. And so when we got there, they really didn't have a place for us to stay because they were building their house and living in the trailer. So there was a chicken coop, a big long chicken coop like they have if you're raising chickens or whatever. Anyway, so Uncle Rex and my father cleaned out one end of the chicken coop, which was about, maybe 15 feet square. And they cleaned it and painted it and got us some beds and that, and a little table and stuff for the kitchen area. And we lived in there for about, maybe a year. And then while we were there, we used to go down to the river and swim in the river, and also they would go fishing for salmon. And the salmon at that time were wild salmon, and they used to get to be 5 or 6 feet long. Wow. Huge, huge things. And they would catch them, and then my Aunt Lee would can them. And she also canned fruit, peaches and apricots and anything that she could get, well, vegetables, because they put in a big vegetable garden. And she had this little shed, and in this shed she had all of these rows of all of the stuff that she canned. And then they had the chickens, naturally. And so you might come into Aunt Lee's kitchen, and here she'd have a big pot on the stove, and she'd be cooking chickens and making soup and making chicken and dumplings and all kinds of good things. And then she would open up jars of fruit or stuff from the garden. And like I say, we stayed there for about a year. And then my father got some jobs like building the Contra Costa Canal. And so he would live there at the thing, and then he would have to drive to wherever he was working every day. And then finally, the canal went as far as up towards Pittsburgh and Antioch and Port Chicago and that. Anyway, he worked on the canals all up that way. And then we moved to Clyde. And we rented a little 1-bedroom house. And, well, I went to, well, then I had to take a bus every morning to go to school in Concord.
From
At
Clyde.
the little old elementary school. It was on Willow Pass Road. And while I was going to school there, I used to work in the kitchen, and that way I got my lunches free. And the lady that took care of the kitchen there, she was the head cook, and she used to live right across the street from us in Clyde. And her daughter and I became best friends, and being they lived right across the street, her daughter and I would go into her closet, and she had these big trunks of all of these clothes that were back from like the 1930s. And so we'd put on these, when she would go to school to work and we would be there, we'd get these clothes out and put them on and play dress up, you know. And she used to make all of her daughter's clothes, everything. She made her bras, she made slips, she made dresses, she made coats and everything like that. And she used to do sewing for people and stuff like that. But we were friends until up into high school, and then she met a guy, and she was 2 years ahead of me in high school, and so she wound up marrying this guy, and then they moved away. And then there were some other kids that lived in town, so I became friends with them. And one of them, her name was Audrey, and my father became good friends with her mother and father, which actually was her stepfather, not her real father. And we did a lot of things, and several times I would go camping with them. Their family had property up north, around Jackson and up in that area, and they had an old cabin up there, and it had the wooden shutters for the windows, and we'd go up there and we'd spend a week and just walk around in the woods and do all kinds of things. And one day went to go to the bathroom, which was a little wooden outhouse. And so I opened the door to go in there, and here was a big old snake on the floor in there. And boy, did I take off running. And then after we got out of high school, we were still friends and that, but I met Grandpa, and she met a soldier, and she married the soldier, and I went out with Grandpa.
Where did you go to high school?
Who?
Where
me?
did you go to high school?
At Mount Diablo,
Mount Diablo.
and I graduated from there in 1950. And I used to play, well, at that time, different times of the year you had to do certain sports and stuff like that. So I played some volleyball, and I played some baseball, and some basketball. But the rules were different way back then. The girls could only play half-court basketball. And then, of course, we had to do archery.
Archery.
Well, doing archery was not an easy thing when you're pulling back that bow and everything, you know. So I didn't do very good in that. And then, let's see, I had met Grandpa, and Grandpa lived and grew up in Pittsburgh. And I got a job at the Enean Theater, and I used to catch the bus from Clyde up to Pittsburgh every afternoon after school. I'd get off of the school bus and I'd get on the Greyhound bus and go up there. And I'd get off and right there by the theater, and I'd work there. Sometimes I was an usherette, and sometimes I worked behind the candy counter. And then after that, then I would go either go bowling with some of the girls that worked there, or I would go to the Pirate Drive-In, and some of the girls and I would go there because we had to wait for the bus to come to go back to Clyde. So the one girl that was with us went to the table behind us and swiped the milk off of the table, which belonged to one of the guys that was there. And then, well, Grandpa asked me to go out with him.
He was sitting at the table of the guys full of milk?
Yeah, but not that night he didn't ask me. Another night he asked me to go out with him. So we went to the show. Of course, you know, I work at the show, so, you know. But it's all kinds of crazy things happen and everything. And then we used to, the kids from Clyde and that on weekends, well, either my girlfriend across the street, her mother had this little old car that had what you call a rumble seat. That's where it's a coupe, and then you open up the back and there's a seat back there. So on the weekends, her mother would take us to Concord and go to the show, and we'd ride in that. And then after the show, there was a little restaurant next door to the show, so we'd go in there and have toasted ham and cheese sandwiches. And then she would come and pick us up and take us back to Clyde.
Nice.
And I don't know.
How long did you date Grandpa?
Huh?
How long did you date Grandpa?
How long did I date Grandpa? Oh, gee. Let's see. Probably two or 3 years, I think. Something like that.
Before you got married? Or before he asked you to marry him?
Huh?
Before you got married?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that was out of high school.
Uh-huh.
How old is Grandpa? How old is Grandpa?
Well, Grandpa's 3 years older than me.
So he didn't go to the same high school as you, or did he?
Huh?
Did he go to the same high school?
Same high school? No.
No.
He went to the Pirate, Pittsburgh
Oh,
High
he went to
School.
Pittsburgh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was Grandpa your first kiss?
A what?
Was Grandpa your first kiss?
My first kiss?
Was it Grandpa?
No. No. I used to, when I was going to school, I used to date a boy from Port Chicago. And his name was Gus Vasilakis.
That's an
Wow.
And my girlfriend Audrey used to go out with a boy from Port Chicago too. And his name was Leo Di Piero. No, Di Marco. Di Piero was his cousin. And we used to, you know, everybody piles in a car and goes someplace, you know.
Was Grandpa love at first sight?
No?
Well, sorta.
That's
Well,
cute.
he was this cute little guy with all this curly hair, and you know,
Grandpa's very handsome. Okay, so now these are like more random questions. What was your favorite sport in high school?
Favorite sport?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I don't know. Baseball, I guess.
Yeah. And do you like to dance?
Do I like to dance? I never learned to dance.
So no?
Huh?
So no?
No, I never learned to dance. The problem was that I always felt self-conscious, and so I never learned to dance.
But do you like to dance?
Yes.
Did I like to?
Do you like to dance?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What type of music did you listen to growing up?
Oh. Music of that time. I can't think of the name of the songs, but they were all sort of, well, I can't think of any of the names any now. We used to listen to my brain is numb.
It'll come to you.
Oh, what was popular at that time we listened to? That was the 1950s, you know.
Is that Buddy Holly?
Huh?
Buddy Holly?
No, he wasn't one of our favorites.
I don't know.
It's okay.
It's okay, Grams.
Frank Sinatra, we used to listen to.
Dean Martin.
Huh?
Dean Martin, anything
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah,
Who else?
that era.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. What is your favorite type of food?
Favorite type of food? Oh, gee. About any kind. I eat anything. If it's put in front of me, it's gone.
Do you have a favorite movie?
A favorite movie? I like, what is the one? Oh, shoot. Where she's a hooker and,
Pretty Woman?
Pretty Woman.
yeah, Pretty Woman, I like that. And,
She's a hooker.
Funny how we all knew what that
Yeah.
must be some of your favorites too.
It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. It's funny, Grams.
No, I like movies that have a good ending to them. You know,
A happy ending?
and I do not like these vampires.
Scary movies.
Yeah, I don't like those.
I don't either. What is the nicest thing that anyone has ever done for you?
Oh, gee. My girls have done lots of nice things for me. Beautiful, wonderful things.
That's good. What is your favorite television show? Even though we probably already know.
Okay. I like Jesse, the cop. What's his name?
Jesse the Cop.
Yeah, the one that's the country cop.
It's new this season.
Oh, it's a new show. Okay. What's your favorite one that you've been watching forever and ever and ever?
Forever and ever and ever? Well, it seems like every time I find one that I like, they take it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about your soaps?
Huh?
Your soaps.
My soap?
Yeah.
Oh, General.
In general.
General is it until recently. I'm not liking it lately.
Oh.
How long have you been watching that show?
Forever.
Yes. You know. What is your favorite book and author? Even though
Danielle
we'll probably
Steele.
know. Do you have a favorite book of hers?
Yeah, I like them all. I've read everything that she's written.
Can you describe yourself in 3 words?
Describe myself
In 3 words.
in 3 words. A grandma that loves life.
Did you play any instruments when you were a kid?
No.
No instruments. Did they teach music in school or no?
Huh?
Did they teach music in school at that time or no?
No, choir,
Choir.
you know, but the a cappella choir.
Do you like to sing?
No.
No.
Well, you had your choice of a few things.
You don't like to sing. Or you just can't sing. One of the two.
Both.
Do you like to sing in the shower?
No.
No? If you could play an instrument, what would it be?
The piano.
What inspires you?
I would like to paint. I just not houses, pictures.
You're a good painter.
I haven't done any for so long now that, you know, you have to practice. And I bought all these canvases and all of this paint, and I haven't gotten to use it.
Well, we should paint. Are you afraid of heights?
Yes,
You are?
yeah. When we go to Hawaii, I won't stay over the 5th floor.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They have those little balconies.
You won't go on it?
I can't go out on those. It's everything just kind of scrunches up.
Really?
You do that. Huh? You do that too? No?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
My stomach gets all...
Yeah.
I like it.
You like it?
It just,
Did you go to college?
no.
And after you worked at the theater, what was your next job?
I worked for Montgomery Wards as a cashier in Pittsburgh. And then after that, I went to work for Quaker Pioneer Rubber. And I started working as a phone operator. You got this board in front of you, and you had these cords, you know, you take one and plug it into someplace else. Boy, did I screw it. I was always pulling the wrong plug.
So that didn't last very long?
Huh?
That didn't last very
Well,
long, Grimes?
they took me off of that and put me on some regular stuff, you know, like copying and, you know, doing some posting and stuff like that. And then from there, I went to work at U.S. Steel, where I stayed for 29 and a half years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what did you do there?
At Quaker or
No, it's...
at U.S.
yeah.
Steel? I worked in production planning, which you plan schedules of what stuff they're making. I worked in several sections. I started out in the tin mill, and then I got pregnant, and let's see, I had Vivian before I went to work there, and then I had Linda when I was working there, and then they moved me when I came back to the rolling mill, and then I got pregnant, and I had Marilee when I was in the pipe mill, and then I had Doreen when I was in the pipe mill. No, I don't know, the wire mill got in there somewhere. Anyway, when I retired from there, I was working in the wire mill. But I had worked in the pipe mill. Every time I got pregnant, I wound up moving to a different office.
That's funny.
Anyway, then I retired from there, and I stayed home. I had Doreen was still in high school, and so she used to say, "Mom, it's somebody's birthday. Will you make a cake for her?" So one of the cakes was a round heart-shaped cake, and I made several cakes during that time and that. But and then after I got tired of just being home, and we wanted to buy a new car, so I went to work for an inventory outfit, and they would call you to go on these jobs, and it might be 3 o'clock in the morning. You'd have to go, because some places you can't go in and count when the customers are there, so we'd have to go in the middle of the night and do it. And one of them was at a hardware store, and you have to count all the little nuts and bolts and everything. Oh yeah, and that was a fiasco.
Yikes.
Anyway, and then after that, they sent me out on a job, and I went to work at Chevron. And we used to we would get this stack of invoices in, and you take the invoices and you classify them in certain ways and stuff, and then you put that stack, you give them to somebody else, and then they process them and stuff like that. So I worked there for about a year or so, and then finished that job.
Did you get your car that you wanted?
Huh?
Did you get the car that you wanted?
Yeah, we did. Well, we got a car anyway. I don't know. And then we moved, we lived in Pittsburgh at that time, in one of the little apartments on West Boulevard. And so one day, I got tired living there in that place, so this lady that had the real estate place there, and she also owned these apartments, she came by and she says, "Come on, I want to take you and show you something." So we went up on Marks Boulevard, and she showed me this little house up there. And I didn't tell Grandpa where I was going, but I liked the little house, and I thought it was good for us. So I bought it. I signed my name. And we lived there for quite a while. And then the kids were having some problems in school. They would take their lunch money, and they would they had these angel food cake cutters in school, and they would threaten them with these things. So I figured this is not for us. I'm not going to have my kids going to school like that. So I came over here and I bought this place. And here we've been for over 40 years.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that's about it.
And this is where Concord is where everybody graduated high school, right?
Yeah.
Mom graduated Concord as well.
Everybody, yeah.
Have you ever traveled to another country?
To Canada. When we had our little trailer, our first little trailer. We went up. We went up Highway 5, and we were living in Pittsburgh at that time. And our friend Albert had gotten us tires for our car. Okay, so we're going up Highway 5, and you get to the top of this place, and then you start down, and it's a 20-mile down grade. Well, we started going down, and we could hear this noise. Well, we got to the bottom. We had flat tires because those were recap tires, and the tread come right off of them. Well, so we had to pull off the road. It had a canal, and then it had the little road that went to this farmhouse and that. So we had to go there, and then we had to call somebody to come out and bring us some tires and stuff. Oh yeah. And then we went up through Seattle and that, and we went to, what was it, Port Angeles or something? Anyway, and then we took the ferry across to Canada, and we went and saw the Burchard Gardens and, you know, these different things up there. And then we came back, and we came back home, and other than that, all I've been is, well, let's see, went back to Wisconsin once, went to Connecticut with Linda, went to New Mexico, and went to Las Vegas, and oh gee, where else have I been? I've been to Los Angeles. Got married in Las Vegas.
Really?
Yeah.
Like one of those little white wedding chapels?
Yeah.
Really?
It was the Hitching Post was the name of it. You know. And yeah, we had a good time, and then from there we went to Los Angeles, and we stayed at a little motel, and it was down below the Hollywood sign, just down the hill from it. And then from there we went up the coast, and we went to what is it, the castle,
Hearst?
Hearst Castle. We went to there, and then we just came along up the coast and stopped overnight here and there, and then we came back home.
What's been your favorite vacation?
Huh?
What's your favorite place?
My favorite place to go on vacation? I don't know. I used to like it when we used to go up to Gurneyville, to the thing up there. And of course, I liked going to Hawaii.
Yeah. Did you visit all the islands when you went?
The first time we went to Maui. And we went in like April or May, something like that, and it was so humid that time we went. And it just, I thought I was going to die. It was just, you get out of the shower and 2 minutes you're ready to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it seems like once you go to Hawaii, you're ready to go back, But I don't care for it as much now as I did when we first went, because they used to have all the little quaint little shops. And then they started building all these shopping centers and everything, so to me it turned out to be not any different than going to San Francisco, And it took a lot of the quaintness away from it. But we took trips around the island at Maui, on
Oahu.
Yeah, on Oahu we took trips around the island, and that's nice. And we went to see, what is it, the famous snow cone place, Matsumoto's. It's famous, but it's just a little shack is what it is. They've got their gift shops over here, and you're a big thing to make your Frosties.
Did you have one?
Huh?
Did you have one?
Oh, yeah.
And was it good?
Well, it was good. Yeah. Well, it's just like a snow cone. But we were on this little bus, one of the ones that you see running around Antioch or someplace, the little ones. It holds about maybe 25 people. And so normally they don't stop at Matsumoto's. So Grandpa, he goes up and asks him, he says, I'll pay you $20 extra if you'll go and stop by Matsumoto's. So she was willing. So everybody got to go and have a snow cone.
Nice.
Yeah. But it was nice. And then they had these little, like a taco truck, only they would have shrimp and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, we stopped at one of those. They had lunch and that. And we went around by, what is it? Paradise. What is it? The little village. It's the Mormons, I think, own the thing.
The Polynesian Cultural Center?
Huh?
The Polynesian Cultural
Yeah.
Center?
Yeah, Polynesian Cultural Center. See? And you can get on some little boats and it takes you around in there. And then they have little villages there. And one place they may show you how to roast a pig. They bury it underground, and they are wrapped in leaves and stuff like that. And other things, they'll show you how they make their coconut cakes. And they're different from what you would think a coconut cake would be. It's little sort of layers of jelly and cake and stuff like that. And then it shows you how they make the little woven hats and all kinds of things like that, which was a lot of fun. And then they have the Polynesian show, which half the night you sit there and you watch these girls get up there and do, you know. And then one time we went to a luau, and the girls got Grandpa up there on the stage, you know, doing their, and they're dancing with him and they're hugging him and they're, you know, all this stuff. So he had a ball.
I'm sure. How many times have you and Grandpa been to Hawaii now?
17 years we went.
Wow. Consecutive years, every year?
Yeah.
Wow.
For 7, we'd go up to Russian River and we would stay until September, and then in November we would go over to Hawaii for 8 days.
Nice.
So, yeah,
So tell us about the Russian River.
the Russian River.
How did you find
How did
all
we
of that?
find it?
Yeah.
Well, we were staying at a different place up towards Armstrong Woods, and Grandpa used to like to walk. So he would walk from there downtown. And so he came back one day and he says, I found a place for us. It's within walking distance of town, and that way we can just walk into town. So we moved up there. And at that time, it was Du Bois that owned the resort.
Oh, okay.
And one of their grandsons worked there and that. And there were several dogs around. And they weren't, it was, I don't know how to put it. I mean, there were little areas that you could put your trailer in and that. But after they sold it, and Bob Hope was the name of the next people that had it.
Okay.
Well, no, first the son took it over, and the old people retired and went someplace. And then he kind of let it go and everything. And there are too many dogs around and too many on the ground and stuff. But the kids, they used to go down and spend all day down at the pool, and it wasn't fenced or anything at that time. And there were a lot of kids there, and they used to, at night, they'd sit around bonfires and tell stories and sing and roast marshmallows and stuff. And then they'd play bingo. And after they played bingo and that, Grandpa would get all the kids together, take them down to the ice cream shop and buy ice cream for all the kids. And then after that, then Lynn, after Bob Hope, he moved up to the other town, Healdsburg, up in that area, and they actually had a catering service before they took over the resort. And then the wife and the daughter wanted to get back into their catering business, so that's when they moved to Healdsburg. And they opened up a place up there. And then Lynn bought the resort, and they started doing a little fixing here and there, and sometimes they didn't get things fixed, and sometimes they did. So, and then all of you guys started coming up, and Mom and Dad got their trailer, and they came up. We were all there, you know.
How long do you think that you went up there? How many years altogether?
How many years? 30 years.
Wow. That's a long time.
Yep.
We'd probably still be going up there.
Huh?
We'd probably still be going up there if it wasn't the way it is now.
No. No, it got to where it was getting to be too much to set up and take down and take the things to storage and everything like that. It just got to be too much. And too expensive. because we were paying like, okay, each time we would take the trailer out of storage, it was $200 to pull it down there, and then $200 to pull back. And then you had the storage fee, which was like $200 or $300 a month, and it just got too expensive for us because I was retiring, and you know, just was too much. Anyway, so now here we are here, and this is it.
Mhm. What are some memories that you have of the girls growing up? If
The
any.
memories I have with the girls.
Mhm. I'm sure there are stories.
Oh, there's one story. Doreen.
Share it.
You're gonna tell good stories, not the bad ones, the good ones.
The one I'm thinking of, the one that Vicky gave you guys some beer or something, and she got loaded. And
Who,
she
Vicky?
threw up.
Lucido?
My godmother?
No,
Who's
no,
Vicky?
another Vicky.
Hmm.
There's some people that came up there every summer too, and there was her, and there was, I don't know who all was involved in it, but they got to drinking beer. She
I
came-
don't think it was, so let's clarify the story. It wasn't beer.
Huh?
It was shots of tequila.
That's even worse.
No wonder you got sick. And I remember that when John used to come up there with his van, and he had a sign on the back window. Beware, your daughter might be in here.
That's terrible.
I don't remember John, so.
John the sailor, he and his buddy that used to come with him. No, well, maybe you were too small at the time John was there.
Yeah, I don't
Mom
remember.
probably
Maybe
knows.
Linda remember.
Yeah, maybe a Vivian and Linda story.
Oh.
Anything else?
No, I guess that's about it.
I think Whitney had a. Have you ever been arrested?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Is there anything that you have done that you not regret, but like when you're a kid and you just like maybe steal something or do something?
No,
You're a good kid?
I was a good kid.
These are Whitney's questions.
Oh, Whitney's question.
I think that was the worst of them, so. Okay. I already asked the rest. Anything anyone wants to add?
That's it.
Trying to remember if I had anything. What is your what's your favorite thing to do for fun? For just you, what do you like to do?
What do I like to
Mhm.
do? I don't know.
Paint.
Huh?
Paint.
Yeah, paint when I have time.
And can you keep a secret?
Can I keep one?
No.
No? Spill the beans.
That's funny. One of Whitney's questions. If you won the lotto, what would you do with it?
It depends on how much it was.
A good amount.
Huh?
It would be a good amount.
A big, big, big
Mhm.
amount?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first thing I would do would be to pay off all my bills. Next thing I would do would be to give each of my kids some money to help them pay off their bills or whatever. And then maybe take the whole family to Hawaii.
Nice.
That would be
Yeah.
nice. Hmm.
Oh,
So I'll ask a question. So growing up, what was your favorite gift someone ever gave you when you were growing up?
my favorite gift?
Look at the camera.
What was my favorite gift? I don't know. Everything was favorite to me. Yeah.
Anything in particular?
Huh?
Anything in particular?
Some Christmas and gift that you had always wanted for Christmas, or Dad bought, that 10-carat diamond.
Oh, yeah, right. Um, just being able to have everybody together for Christmas, and that was my favorite thing.
Do you have a favorite holiday?
Huh?
Do you have a favorite holiday?
No. No.
What's your favorite color?
Mine? Well, probably blue. Everything I have practically is blue.
What's your favorite flower?
I like lilies. Not daylilies, but the lilies. They're
Calla lilies?
The pink lilies?
huh?
The pink ones?
Yeah. I like the what are they called? They're I think your wedding bouquet had.
I know, I don't know what the name of that is, so I said pink
Yeah.
lilies. I don't know
Yeah.
the name.
Yeah. I like those.
You have a green thumb. I would think that you would know about all these flowers.
She knows, her memory's not her.
Yeah,
She's just not thinking of it.
Mm.
no.
So, if there could be one place in the world you wanted to go visit, where would it be? Any place in the world?
Italy.
Italy.
Yeah. Only thing about that is, if you look at scenes of Italy, the majority of their little towns are built on hills. And you have to walk up hills. There's steps or there are sidewalks or everything, all little hills. I didn't realize that until we started watching some of the travel programs, and yeah, boy, you better be in good shape.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of stairs and a lot of hills.
Huh?
There are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's right. You've been to Italy, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yep, there's no other way to do it. Like, there's all kinds of little bridges and
Yeah.
stairs, and you just have to
Mom says
carry your stuff.
you and her might go back, huh?
Yeah, Mom wants to go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I told her, go now while you're young enough to be able to walk like that, you know.
Yep, she wants to go in the next few years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Travel while you can.
What makes you laugh, Grams?
What makes me laugh? Oh, gee, I don't know. Watching the little kids and everything like that, it's just Mr. Jackson, you know. He comes and gets me by the hand, and
It's cute.
and we're going.
Yeah, they're cute.
Of course, Miss Willow, she hasn't warmed up to me yet, though. So, one time she came running to me. I think that's probably because I'm not around them enough to, you know. Yeah. But she likes it if you got cookies.
Yeah. They all do.
They all do, yeah. Especially Chloe.
Bribes are the best.
Yeah.
I think that's all my questions for now.
Okay. Well, I hope you got something interesting out of that.
Oh, we
A lot
did.
of interesting stuff.
Oh.
Anything else that you want to share with us that we don't know?
Mm-hmm.
Something you don't know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what. I think you've gotten just about all my life. Yeah, that guy should be coming pretty quick. Oh,
Anything, Auntie?
I'm just thinking. I mean, I know a lot of little stories that shouldn't go into, so I'm trying to figure out if any there.
what?
I was trying to think of some little stories.
Oh, some little
So you didn't really talk about your, like Grandpa and his fishing, and you guys used to always go fishing on the boat, and stories like that. Your garden, you guys used to build your garden all the time.
Well, I remember one time when I was real little. And we lived in Clyde. Well, by the railroad tracks there was always an area that filled up with water when it rained and that. And so a lot of us kids used to go down there and we'd build little rafts. And then we'd get in here and we'd float around on these things. Well, Grandpa came home from work and I was supposed to be fixing dinner. This was at the time when my father wasn't married. And it was just my brother and I and that. And so we got home and I didn't have dinner fixed. And I was down there on that raft and Grandpa wasn't very happy. He says, "You see this? You want me to use this?" A belt. I got home real quick. Oh. Yeah. There were a lot of things that happened. Then we used to go, after I was married and Grandpa lived in Concord, over where we built the house over there. I say we built it because my brother and I used to go out, and they had bought one of the barracks from out there at Camp Stoneman. It was a big one, and they took it all apart and brought it over here and used that to build the house. And we had to pull all the nails out, and stuff like that. And then we had to dig ditches for the foundations. And Grandpa put the foundations down about this deep. So we had to get in there with shovels and help dig them out. And that kept us pretty busy. Kept us pretty busy and out of trouble. Yeah. And then when I went back to Wisconsin after I graduated, and then I came back out, we had been living in Clyde, and while I was back in Wisconsin, they moved into the new house. So when I came on the bus and I got as far as Concord, well, I had to get off the bus because I didn't know if they were in the new house or the old house. And so when I got off the bus, there were a lot of kids from Clyde and stuff like that there because there had been a ball game. And so I asked them, where are my folks now? So then they took me out to the new house and that. But it was a very strange feeling, not knowing where you belong and that. Anyway, whew. What else? What else? What else? Well, when we were still living in Clyde, we used the naval base was down in Port Chicago and that, and so they had a skating rink down on the naval base, and so once a month they would let all the kids from Clyde and that come down there and go skating, and so of course we had to walk back to Clyde afterwards. But, yeah, we met an awful lot of nice guys down there. Grandpa used to work building the docks for the big ships to come in down there. And he worked, he was a superintendent of that section of building that was in that. And this one night we were at home and Grandpa was, he and his crew were down there working. And they were, not too far from the actual docks. They were in a little thing, and Grandpa had come home to have some dinner and read the paper, and then he had to go back again. Well, he was sitting there reading the paper, and all of a sudden, Port Chicago exploded. That was when the ships blew up down there. And he had to immediately get dressed and everything and go back down there because he had a crew down there. And we didn't see him for about 5 days because they were picking up bodies and body pieces and everything all over the place. And they would go out in the little boats and bodies would be floating around there, so they would tie them onto the thing and bring them into the docks and stuff. It had quite an effect on him for a long time. Yeah, and then they closed Port Chicago down and everything. So, anyway, little things pop into my head every once in a while.